Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. You know, sometimes people take things for granted. In the world of politics, you see it all the time. We see politicians and political parties taking certain voter groups for granted. You know, Democrats don't feel like they have to work very hard to get young people, women, and black voters to vote for them. They take it for granted. Why lift a finger? They're gonna vote for us anyways. Just pander and job's done. Just go out there and say, if you don't vote for me, then you ain't black. That's really all that needs to be said. The voters will show up and vote for us no matter what. You know, that's an example of politicians taking something for granted. Another example is how we just assume, you know, big city, it's a blue city. If it's a big city, it's a Democrat city, right? You don't need to work to make it a great city. You don't need working policies, you don't need safe streets, solid job opportunities, and affordable housing. You don't need to deliver on any of that because, hey, it's a big city. They're gonna vote for the Democrat anyway. Well, I think politicians are taking that for granted because we may be entering the era of red cities. The pendulum swings hard left. Of course, it has over the last couple of decades, but if it goes far enough, eventually that momentum will start shifting the other direction, and it seems like we're starting to see the very, very early signs of that kind of a political momentum shift. Let me make my case as we're talking about the current mayor of Dallas. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so we know that big cities are blue. It pretty much doesn't matter where you go, big cities are blue. To be completely honest with you, off the top of my head, I can't think of many Republican cities or red cities other than newly red Miami. And Miami only went red in one midterm election cycle, thanks to a very popular governor of the state, Ron DeSantis. It's a new phenomenon. It's hard to tell whether it's going to last going into the next election season. So it's not really a common thing. No matter where you go, I mean, it could be a real red state. The city most likely is going to be a Democrat stronghold. And that's true even in places like Texas. Texas is known as a bastion of Republicanism to a certain extent. I mean, obviously, it's much closer than real Republican strongholds that vote red at huge margins, but those states tend to be smaller, and those metropolitan areas in those states, of course, aren't big cities like Houston, Dallas, San Antonio. You get the idea. But if we look at election results from a Republican state like Texas, you'll notice that all the big cities are blue. Dallas is a strong blue at 65% Democrat in the last general election, Austin at 71%, San Antonio at 58%, and Houston at 56%. The state of Texas is a sea of red, except for the cities. Well, that seems to be slowly changing. It started with Miami, and now maybe the trend is moving to Texas as well. Democrats in the state are panicking as the more recent mayor of Dallas, a man by the name of Eric Johnson, officially announced today that he is leaving the Democrat Party, switching his party affiliation. He is now a Republican mayor.
As Stephen making the switch, Mayor Johnson said he understands the decision will surprise many, but it is not a shock to many who closely follow politics and yet could still have some big implications for the future.
The 60th mayor of the great city of Dallas, my friend, Mayor Johnson.
When Eric Johnson was sworn in for his second term as Dallas mayor in June, the then Democrat had Texas's two Republican senators there supporting him. He's now joined the two. Johnson announcing in a Wall Street Journal op-ed Friday, "I have no intention of changing my approach to my job, but today I am changing my party affiliation." Going on to write, "The future of America's great urban centers depends on the willingness of the nation's mayors to champion law and order and practice fiscal conservatism." Johnson has long made cracking down on violent crime, lowering property rates, and attracting business central tenets to his mayorship. He discussed those efforts in an appearance on Fox News Channel late last month.
We've worked really closely with the community here in Dallas to make sure that our police feel supported throughout this time when a lot of people have talked about defunding the police and questioning the role that law enforcement plays.
Although mayoral positions are technically nonpartisan, Johnson's move sparked backlash for going Republican in solidly Democrat Dallas County.
I mean, I guess that's one way to flip a state, huh? A Democrat gets elected, realizes he's part of the wrong party, and switches. Folks, this may be an outlier situation. Maybe, I mean, it's possible possible I'm reading too much into it, but honestly, I don't think that's the case. I think this is the start of a trend, specifically because of the issues that were named. We all know the issues that plague Democrat cities. Soft on crime policies, bail reform laws, the revolving door of the justice system, allowing mentally ill substance abusers back on the streets over and over again, allowing roaming gangs of criminals, organized crime groups, to basically run amok and do whatever they want in retail spaces, heavy tax burdens and regulation burdens, just typical naive Democrat practices that make people's lives objectively worse. That is what people know of Democrat cities, that the governments there make housing unaffordable and they make streets less safe. While citing all of those issues, this mayor says, you know what? Enough of the big city Democrat status quo. It's time to try something new. That's the message that I get. And look, in politics, it takes forever to trends to manifest themselves. It takes forever for things to slowly change. But you can only keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Eventually, people are going to be asking themselves, what is the point of voting for the same people and voting for the same issues for generations upon generations and nothing ever gets done? Maybe it's time for a Hail Mary. Maybe it's time to try something new. Maybe it's time to support the local Republican and see if it makes a difference. Eventually, that's obviously going to happen. And I think we're starting to see that new shiny trend. Hopefully, no longer are the days where it's just kind of the accepted nature of the politics beast that cities vote blue no matter who, that cities are Democrat strongholds with very much compassion and very many crack pipes to be handed out in the masses to all the crackheads who wish to partake in the party. What kind of standard is it? Is the standard that we should live in squalor, that's woke progressivism? Is the new standard that big cities are so liberal, so compassionate, that all cities be woke and accepting and of course diverse, so diverse in fact, that not only is there a Chinatown or a Little Italy or a financial district, but there's also the homeless encampment district. Is that an acceptable standard? Is that just the status quo of living in a big blue city? I don't think it is, and I don't think it should be. And I think that's kind of where we're headed. More and more people are realizing, more and more people are waking up, more and more people are leaving places like Portland, Seattle, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, New York, for the greener pastures of Republican states, and apparently increasingly Republican big cities. I think Miami's going to be the first success story, and possibly some other big cities might follow. We're seeing two trends. The first one is politicians leaving the Democrat Party and joining the Republican. That is obviously something that we're seeing more and more of. It's almost unheard of to see Republicans leaving the party and joining the Democrat ranks, but we keep seeing the opposite happening over and over again. And the second trend is the trend of more outspoken conservative leadership and values growing organically in metropolitan areas. It's basically Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's worst nightmare. Remember all the predictions that Texas in the next couple of election cycles is gonna be blue. Texas is gonna be the next Democrat stronghold. Well, it seems like that's not exactly the case. In fact, even Democrat strongholds in Texas are jumping ship and joining the side of common sense. Fantastic news as the political shift continues to grow. It's probably going to take another decade or so to fully materialize, but it's more evidence that this trend is very much real. Anyways, that's what I got for you guys on the video. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you on the next one.